that is a hard skill to learn. And I guess it is something that I work on every day. It's not always an easy thing to do, but I try to stop and look back and see what tracking that we can do, whether it's revenue, whether it's how many years you've been in business, or how about your client load and see how many clients you've worked on in your lifetime. That's a good one. If they are still coming to you and you're still getting business, that's an amazing thing.
Hey there, Bombshell. Welcome back to the Bombshell Business Podcast. I'm your host, Amber Hurdle, and we are in the final season of this podcast. So if you're new to the show, go all the way back and you can really get a ton of information. This will always be out there. The Bombshell brand will always be out there. I will always be a bold, brave, unwaveringly confident woman in business. And so will you. And Bombshell boys, you're not out of the club just because the show's coming to an end. But what I would love for you to do is to follow my YouTube channel. So you could go to amberhurdle.com. It's all over there. It could be in the show notes, amberhurdle.com/podcast with an S. And you can find the link there. You could just search YouTube and look for Amber Hurdle or Amber Erickson Hurdle. I have been hyphenating to reclaim my identity without let going of my SEO that I've built up for so many years. Post-divorce. Again, if you've been on the journey, you know all this stuff. And also, if you haven't been on the journey, it's not like an ugly thing. Like, I love and wish the best for my ex. I hope he's just brilliantly thrilled with his life for no other reason other than that's way easier for me to live with. So if you're new, I'm not going to be a man bashing kind of like hate my ex kind of thing. So if you are new, I do invite you to go back, listen to more episodes. It's totally binge worthy. I have the absolute greatest guests because we're really particular about who we let on the show. And every once in a while, there might be like a meh one, but by and large, I pretty much fall in love with my guests week over week because they're really, really smart and helpful. And this week is no different because Renae Keller is actually a repeat guest. You can go back and listen to her first episode so many years ago when we first did her initial rebrand. Now, I love this woman so much. We've stayed in touch. We haven't worked together in years, but we've remained friends because, again, I fall in love with my guests. I really fall in love with my customers. Renae is astonishingly accomplished as an interior designer. And when I first met her, I was like, oh, you don't like throw pillows, you like move walls. So we had to get her brand to show that. And it went from, I'm going to be like just super harsh, and Renae knows I love her to death, but it was way more like maybe I did it in high school or college kind of look. Like it just did not at all match the majesty of what Renae Keller and Renae Keller Interior Design is. I mean, she's flawless, she's fabulous, and her designs are very intentional. And so we worked through all of that. And not only did we do it over many weeks, just working together, I actually flew up to see her. We did a photo shoot. We did her video shoot. We worked on her website, like all of this stuff. And it was just such a privilege to watch her come alive. And as she'll tell you, like, I don't love being in front of the camera, but she is amazing if you just put a little Pinot Grigio in her and then get her started with hair and makeup. So the best memories ever with this woman. And we're talking today just about her own journey and about what she's had to do, like the heavy lifting that she's done and the iterations of her business and what it's taken to get there, because this is a journey. Like we never get there. You can't screw it up because you never get there. So I just really invite you to set aside any preconceived notions of what success in business looks like or how awesome your brand is or when you get there with your brand, because it has iterations and it evolves. And I think you're going to see that in the beauty of Renae. And, you know, I often say we can't lead others until we lead ourselves. And that's what Renae tackled first. And I'm just so proud of not just her brand, but who she's become. As she's elevated her brand, it's required an elevation of her. And there's something just stirring in my spirit lately of like the things I've had to go through and like the irrational disruptions to things that I thought were going along swimmingly, and they're not. And what just continuously goes on my heart is when you're training to climb Mount Everest, part of the training is getting not just physical, it's not just strength, it's not just endurance, it's also training for the atmosphere in which you are going to ascend. And so I just really embrace whatever has happened in my past, whatever I might be going through right now, like this crazy hip thing. Like, oh my gosh, again, if you're a new listener, sorry, go back and get all caught up. Wild. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm training to get to the level and the atmosphere of which I'm ascending. And so I just look at Renae and I see that in her too. And I see that in so many bombshells. And I hope that you keep that with you as you listen to this and also as you tackle this week. So without further ado, let me tell you about my girl, Renae. Okay. Having never met a hand block printed linen she wasn't best friends with or a grass cloth paper that didn't make her swoon, Renae believes great design has well-appointed interiors that are comfortable and welcoming, yet also pleasing and beautiful. It's in the details that Renae reflects her client's story throughout their home that makes her a master at her craft, and each project so special. Known for her candor, calming presence, and infectious spirit, Renae strives to bring more ease, more joy, and more wonder for all to enjoy. And she believes a well-designed home can do all of that. Her tagline was, before she ever met me, burn the candles, use the china. And y'all, I would put this woman on an airplane and send her to wherever your home is, because it's not just about the functionality of the home. It's about having the functionality, but it being beautiful as well, and about being unique to your family, your history, your story, what your kids do. Do they play hockey? I could go on. I'm not going to tell you everything we talk about in this episode, but it is going to be worth the listen. So without further ado, like I said 20,000 minutes ago, because I'm a talker, let's talk to Renae Keller. Okay, Renae, welcome back to the Bombshell Business Podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I love coming back second time.
Second time. I don't know that many people have been on the show twice. You might be like in a handful of like maybe 3 people, but for very good reason. So let's go back to 2015. I think you were a podcast listener and went to webinar. Then we had a conversation. And way back in the day, we started on a brand messaging project. And just, I love how you put it. It was like your starting point, because you have evolved so much since then. But let's just go all the way back to 2015. Like, what was going on in your brain, in your business? Like, what prompted that? Like, I need somebody to kind of help position me more to be authentic to who I really am, and not what this is over here that I'm branded as.
Yeah. I'd started my business in 2010, and we had a young family, and I had worked more or less school hours, I guess you would say, probably 9 to 3. I had needed a flexible schedule. And then when 2015 came along, after working for 5 years, I had more opportunity and more clients. So I needed to really make a statement and start getting more organized, have a vision. I needed to have a marketing vision for my company so we could take it to the next level.
And next level, you did. And then, like, the crazy thing is, I've, been watching with my popcorn ever since then. You level up, level up, level up. Like, you just, like, that little shift, which I guess it was a big, maybe significant shift, but I think it was more of a shift in how you saw things and how much control you realized that you had and how powerful you were. I think, from my perspective, that's what I saw happen. I'm sure a lot of it was this is this and that is that, and here's the marketing lever that we're going to pull. But from my perspective, what I saw was you stepping into your power. So can you talk about that? Because, like, yeah, okay, I was involved, but what you did on your own was a mindset shift. So, we'll definitely bump up to next steps and everything. But what was your number one aha moment when you started doing the work of claiming your authority and talking about what makes you different and special?
Well, I think it was having the whole package deal. When you sent me everything about the launch party. This is your brand. This is your copy. It was the whole package that just gave me something to start with. And I had those tools for the rest of time. I could always go refer to them. And as a creative, we're not always the most, I guess we are organized, but we don't have it all on paper. And it was super helpful to have everything at my fingertips. So if I couldn't get to something right away, I would pull, like you said, that lever, and I would do the marketing here. Then I would do the event here. And with your background in event planning, it was wonderful to see all of that. So, and I think you also empowered me to become who I am, a businesswoman and also a designer at the same time.
Yeah, that's the one thing when I think about you. Like, I could even think about when we were working on your About video and they were scanning like all of your projects and your awards. And like, and I say, oh, no, you don't just decorate, like, you move walls. And there's a difference. There's
Yes.
a big difference.
We went to school for this. This is, we've passed tests for all these accolades. This is year for me right now is year 28. It's a job, and there's always so many technical things that we need to know about it. It's a difficult job. And if we miss one little item, it could make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, and your work, I mean, beyond the fact that you did have all the certifications and the college degree and all the things that come with really showing that this is your profession. This isn't like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I like to decorate houses. Like sometimes I think we get in this Instagram world where you think, oh, that's fine, anybody can do it. And there's a science and a math problem all in one when it comes to interior design. So I'm envisioning you with a glass of white wine, sitting, getting your hair done. And like, that's where I want to go is like, how did you go from, and I don't, this, not just you, Renae, but like so many women, we all do this. Like, we have these ideas and then we try to move towards them. And then if we don't get it perfect, we beat ourselves up. How did you get to a point where like you were able to step into celebrating yourself and you were able to recognize your accomplishments along the journey to kind of keep that fuel going?
Yeah, that is a hard skill to learn. And I guess it is something that I work on every day. It's not always an easy thing to do, but I try to stop and look back and see what tracking that we can do, whether it's revenue, whether it's how many years you've been in business, or how about your client load and see how many clients you've worked on in your lifetime. That's a good one. If they are still coming to you and you're still getting business, that's an amazing thing. So if you just stop for a moment, which a lot of us don't do, especially as women who are busy with the community and your family and your business, and take a look at those markers and say, look where I've come. And just take a moment to just celebrate it, even a half hour, and just say, this is where I'm at now. Let's look back at this in 6 months. Put it on your calendar. It is amazing how you can just pat yourself on the back for a second. You don't have to do it loudly. You don't have to put it on Instagram. But if you can figure out what will make you feel good about yourself, and then also talk to other people about it, maybe have a friend or talk to your daughters about it. That is what
Yeah.
I try to say. If they made some progress, I would want them to do that. So I try to do what I say I'm going to do. And then also what advice I would give them, I would want to do myself because I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah, eating your own cookies is always
Yeah.
it's always harder. It's easier to say it than to actually do it yourself. So
I was always, I felt disappointed because I did it the slow way. And we had 4 kids. So I had to do it the slow way. And looking back now, it was slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race, I guess. But now that the kids are older, I'm able to spend more time at work and be able to travel a little bit more so I can find those found items and look for vintage rugs and things like that and explore more cities. So this is now going to be a time in my life where maybe I'll be able to catapult my business. And that sounds amazing to me.
yeah, but you worked your way up to that point and celebrating along the way instead of going like, okay, I'm here and I want to just go here. Like you have done the regular, routine, boring work that us creatives don't love. And I'm in it myself now. So, like, I bow to you.
Well, it's the consistency that keeps it rolling. And I think we are core values and your company culture that can really keep you moving in the right direction. And if that is similar, I think if you are similar and that always resonates with you as a businesswoman, you will do well.
Yeah. So, can you give an example of how, like, maybe you hit a snag or you had to make a decision, whether it's positive or negative or whatever? Maybe you just got to a point, like a pivot point,
Mhm.
and how did you apply your values in order to move through that season?
Yeah, there was a project that we had taken, and I really wanted the project. It was in a great area, and it would be very visual to many people. It could have really helped out business, I believe, and young couple and a great builder. So I lowballed it, wanted in, got hired. They didn't go with that builder because they came in too high. So they brought in another builder. So we started working with this couple and it just didn't really find a good rhythm. And so we went through it. We got to the end of the year and they added some square feet onto the lower level. And so I asked for additional funds. Their letter of agreement said that, if more square footage was added, that they would, pay for more of the work. And they refused to pay. So at that point in time, I said, I'm done. And it didn't feel good. They were too stressful. They weren't the kind of people that I wanted to work with. And I had already done all of the work or design work that I said I was going to do. So I did have to let them go. And that wasn't very fun, but it was the right thing to do. And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. It's interesting how many of my guests have a story where they had to like fire a client. And, Bombshell, you're listening to this. That's not something we're proud of, or that like fire your clients. Like, that's not anything that any of us want to do. But if there is a misalignment in values and working with somebody is moving you away from what you're capable of with all of your other customers, it's like cutting out the cancer so it doesn't spread. It's kind of an important thing. That's a big decision.
Yeah, they were preventing me from, having other ideal clients and finding other ideal clients. It was too stressful. They were overstepping their bounds and I needed to have my boundaries in order to service my other clients. And that wasn't happening. And even our employees, all of us were not doing our best work. We were coming to work grumpy and it just didn't feel good. And when they asked us to do the additional work without being paid, that didn't work. And that doesn't work when you have a business. So
Yeah. I would just be like, okay, well then how about you work Monday through Friday this week, only get paid Monday through Thursday? Does that work for you? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, that's crazy. Huh.
and there
Let's
were,
talk about boundaries because
yeah,
that's a big one. How does that fit into your success?
yeah, the boundaries are, I guess you need to start figuring out what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. I came to a point, I think maybe in 2015, where I said, I'm not working evenings. I've got too much to do. And if the client needs to work evenings or have me work evenings, I'm not going to do it. So, starting with things like that, I'm not working weekends unless it's a special project or something like out of town. And I just start setting those boundaries. And if they have to go, they have to go. And it was meant to be. Boundaries also can mean like if you're not feeling good, if your gut kind of feels not great about something, then you listen to your gut. Or if somebody wants to, say, why are you this much? So and so is this much. Will you go down to that price? That's not going to end. So if that's right at the very beginning, they're going to do that for every other thing throughout the project.
Yeah.
And you will find that, and that's not going to feel good to you because you're worth it because you put your price the way it is for a reason.
They could go up the road to Susie Q, whoever, and they're not going to get your depth of experience, your education, your commitment. I mean, you're involved in is ACID, right? Association of Interior Design Professionals. They, you stay abreast of things and you're not an Instagram influencer, like not that you don't have a great Instagram account. You have a beautiful Instagram account. It's one of my favorite ones to follow, but there's just, I think, a difference of like when you define your value. Like with me, I'm just like, okay, if I'm not free, then great, go find what does work for you. Like, if I'm too much, I get it. Like, go work with somebody who's within your budget. Like, I'm so happy for you to go do that. But that doesn't mean that because you don't fit in my world, that I have to force fit you and everybody else into this world. Like, that's just this. Let me share with you how we do business.
Yep.
And we customize and adapt as you do. Gosh, you're the queen of that. But how we do business is like this.
Yeah.
What happens when we're in there is different.
Yeah. I feel like after we did our 2015 rebranding that I was able to set those boundaries, and I had a stronger marketing, and my website was more developed, and I was able to set those boundaries and say, I don't work weekends. This is my rate. When we're both, me and the design associate are with you, we are both billing at the same time. I just was able to rattle off these things and just say, these are my things. If you don't align with that, then we're not for each other. But let's go and let's design your home.
Yeah. And I know that was a really important conversation that we had about ensuring that you only worked with the people who were worthy of who you actually are, because the referral part of that is extreme, and I see it in photography and I see it in graphic design. It's like when you lowball and you try to meet these people's budgets that can't sustain your business. Like, listen, we've all had varying budgets that we get to work with. So, like, there is no wrong here. There's just here's what I charge because I've earned the opportunity to charge that because of all of this stuff. And here's what you can afford. And those things don't match. And if I come down to you, now everyone that you refer to me is likely going to be in your budget range with your size home. And like, that's who you hang out with. So that's who I'm going to now, because I'm adjusting to you, you are filling my business completely with the wrong people.
Yep.
Doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't even make sense. And your ideal client is, I remember, filling out the sheet and trying to really hone in on, what kind of vehicles do they drive? Where do they vacation? Where do they hang out? What clothing do they buy, or what do they value? And really getting, particular about what they have. And that ideal client has actually changed over time.
Sure.
And especially with all of the different ways the world has changed too. We have not struggled, but we have had to adjust to the retail world and the availability of furniture for everybody. And so we have had to also kind of what's available and make sure our things are not available in the retail world and make them very special. And
Yeah.
also some things at a very reasonable price, but then some things are very custom.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it's been a wild ride for sure. In the whole construction world, I work in construction and real estate and all of those peripheral services and everything. And it's like, it's been a gnarly ride, and you have just hung in there through all of it. Like, not just hung in, but like thrived. And so let's talk, because you transformed your brand and it's continuously evolved. You've transformed just like your whole outlook and mindset and your bombshellness. Like, you are a very powerful businesswoman now. Like, you're very confident in who you are and what you're here to do. And like, I guess the expression of that is when I met you, you were half of like a smaller, it wasn't small, but a smaller office space. It was more office space. You had some materials and options there, but then like, you've moved into design centers and then a studio, and like, you've evolved physically. So can you take us on that journey? Because that's got to be a little scary too.
Yeah, yeah. So I shared an office with somebody, and then when our lease was up, I went next door and had my own office. So that was a big step for the next 3 years. And then that got kind of tight. And then we had to move into my house for a while, like 3 months. That wasn't, that was the Keller house. And then after that, we moved into a studio that was double on that size. So it's evolved, and it's definitely been a journey. But the studio is now a mile away from the design center, so it's not too far. It's very convenient, and it's just a joy to have. There's all these examples of what sofas look like, what a fireplace looks like, the drapes that I love to do. And so our goal is to have our clients come in and meet with us, and we have their whole house on our boards for them to see. Our clients, their biggest hurdle is usually time. So if they can come in and knock off, their furniture, their lighting and things like that, and be able to see what we're talking about, sometimes we forget about our language that we use, such as, oh, there's a pinch pleat drapery or Conrad shades, or this is an 8x10 rug, or this is, a certain arm, an English arm. We can just say, turn around, and this is exactly what we're talking about. And they're like, oh, okay, great, that's fine. So they just want
Yeah.
because they can't see it usually like we can. So it helps them with the comfort level. And so we can get comfortable quicker and then find that trust. And then things will go smoother, faster.
One thing that we talk about in branding, or one way that I guess I put it, is when you're branding your business, that brand should be all throughout your marketing. And so it's like, you have your home base, and do you know your guest's favorite cocktail? Do you know what their food allergies are? Do you know, like, is your home prepared to receive guests? And we talk about that from a website perspective. Is your home prepared to receive your best guests, like the people you want to hang out with the most? But you actually have taken that even a next step, and you have considered your ideal customer in your entire customer journey, from the time that they land on your website, find you in social media, to they walk in the door of the studio. Like, that's intense. Has that been something that's like intuitive of you because you are so creative, and visual? We're both such visual people. Or was that something that you like walked through, like the customer journey, and mapped out your space? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, actually, very intentional. We like to show a variety of finishes in our showroom. Even if we had a client come in and say, I absolutely dislike, what's it called? Oh, grass cloth. And I said, so like over there, right? And he's like, yeah, I dislike it. And I said, okay, great. He's like, I'm not that then he kind of figured out what he said. Like, I don't like your wallpaper.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to live here, right? But I said,
Right.
this is great. I'm glad that you don't like that. And sometimes people don't know what grass cloth is. And, he's a guy, he was a dentist. He doesn't know. And he's like, I just don't like the seams. And I said, perfect. I don't care if you don't like my, wallpaper. It's split pea color too. So it's very tough to like,
Uh,
probably some people, but I love it. But anyhow, I mean, it's just, what don't you like? What do you like? And, if you can explain that to me, that's helping me out so much. So, and there's no offense taken, but yeah, I love to, show them the quality of furniture actually too. So if I'm going to say this table is, $5,000, and then this similar table is $2,000. Can you see the quality difference? The finish is different. So
yeah.
if you're going to buy this table, it's, this is just what you're going to get. Can you see the difference? And if
Yeah.
you're okay with it, awesome. I mean, this is what we can go with. I just want you to be aware of it. And it's not bad. It's just education.
Yeah, well, and it's just like, okay, well, these pieces are more prominent, or this piece matters to me the most, or we dine every night as a family together, or we host dinner parties. So, yeah, we're going to splurge a little bit on this, but that little piece in the corner over there, like, I don't really care. Let's just cheap out on that one, as long as it ties into everything. Like, to be able to see like where the give and take is, like, physically, oh,
Yeah, like a guest room or a guest house or something like that, or a kid's room that is maybe going to change in 5 years, things
yeah.
like that. So it is, we can do that very easily, and we can help clients actually set their budget and, juggle your budget also. So if they really want to put their bar stools, you know, and spend some money on those and, put leather in there, and that's great, or we could actually know of a really great option that's really well priced and save them some money and then spend the money elsewhere. So we're here to guide you through the process, even like with plumbing and tile. There's so many beautiful tiles that are porcelain, and you can mix them right with a stone, like a marble, and it looks gorgeous. So we're not here just to blow budgets. We are here to work with your architect and builder, and we always demand that we have those two people on the project if we're doing a new build. We are not architects, and of course, we're not builders, but we don't want to be an architect, and an architect does not want to be a designer.
That's right.
We want to collaborate, and that's when we do our best work, and that's what we're used to doing. And that's how we feel we are of best service to our clients.
So, one thing that you've always really been great about is networking with the builders, networking with the architects, and like understanding what their needs are and how they work. Can you talk us through, because that's like one part networking, one part just like really operational strategy, and that's one part marketing, having strategic alliances. Can you talk us through like why did you go down that path versus, blowing up Facebook ads or, anything like that?
It's super personal. I feel like these relationships have been going on for 28 years. And it's having, to know 15 builders that some are maybe up and coming, some have been around for a long time. And same with architects. It's exciting to team up with people who you have seen, for that long. And to get a job with somebody that you really admire takes a lot because we work on probably 4 or 5 homes per year. And so to have the stars align and have, you be able to work with the architect of choice is kind of hard. And to have the clients, select you, a lot of times they're interviewing other designers too. So it's not that people don't like you, it's if you click with that client. So
That's
it
it.
really is, it's kind of like dating. It
Yeah.
have to like you too, and the builder can suggest you or the architect can suggest you also, but it could be any number of reasons, like I really think this other contemporary art or designer is better, or I really liked Renee's style, but she doesn't have enough time right now to do it, she can't start until August, things like.
Right.
So it's a number of things that you have to watch out for. And as designers, we love to work with certain architects. We're like, oh, I can't wait to get a job with you someday, and we do try. And same with builders. So it's timing and it's the clientele too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things just pop through my head and like that. But I think the one that really stands out is it's so much easier to let go of feeling like you're in competition with other people if you understand that you're a category of one. Like that's the whole point of branding. And it's like, if I attract somebody who is somebody that I like to work with and is going to like working with me, you killed it. Like relationship is, and that's such a big part of who you are just as a person, right?
Yeah,
And I'm just watching you say this, like, if you're watching on YouTube, we're here together, and I'm like, yep, because that was you and me. Like that was 2015. It is mid-year 2024, and we're still in each other's lives.
absolutely we are. And we've
Relationship.
yep. And it's so easy to keep in touch. And we are even doing projects out of state. And, I fancy some wonderful architects, out east, and there's one out west. And I'm like, I have to work with them. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but I'm like, I'm up for it. They are beautiful homes, and all I need is a piece of paper and, 5 or 6 definite, travel days out to the site. But it's possible. And I love it. I think it's the opportunities there. And with the ideal client that we have, I believe that it could work very good, very well. So I think my eyes are on that. And it's very easy to do. A lot of designers do that. So
Yeah. Yeah. So learn from Renae on so many things from this episode. But number one is marketing is a whole lot easier when you have people who like you and trust you and will refer business to you or will be the go-to person. You are their go-to person. Like it just, man, cuts so much of the hustle and the stress and the grind out, is to know that you have people interested in what you have to offer.
yeah.
Okay. Final question. I might actually have one more question depending on what your answer is to this. But if you could only offer one parting piece of advice to our bombshells, what would that be?
Oh, I would say be true to yourself and be consistent. Don't be somebody you aren't or don't believe in. Be consistent. And if something thrills you, then definitely do it. Yeah, don't pretend to be somebody different and really go for what you want. If you want to proceed with owning a bakery because you really truly love to bake, then do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So now I do have one more question. You have to tell us your tagline.
Okay, burn the candles, use the china.
Woof, woof. You have no idea how often I say that, like in a week. Like
Yeah.
I pull my china down because that's what I want to use for this. And I don't care if it's not a special occasion. Like I want to eat on china today. All my can't like I don't have special things. Like my silverware is my silverware. Like I love it, and I learned that from you. So
The tagline's great. We're coming out with 3 candle scents. So we finally started doing some of this.
Yay!
We have a marketing coordinator now that all of this stuff can actually get done now. I'm not overwhelmed with other things, but it's been fun. We're actually rebranding right now. So it's been amazing. So now all the ribbon and the bags and all the folders and everything are getting done. So I'm super excited. And so make sure you look for that.
Yeah, I will be. Okay. So before, and I know we're at our time, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands where to find you because first of all, if you are like me and you're an interior design junkie, you will be obsessed. So if you go to Instagram, you can find her at Renae Keller Interior Design, and we will put all of this in the show notes. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, whatever, it's in there. Or you can go to amberhurdle.com/podcasts with an S, and you can find Renae's episodes. So Instagram is Renae Keller Interior Design. She is at renaekeller.com, and you can do /blog to get some juicy details of her projects. And then on Facebook, she's Renae Keller Interior Design as well. And if you want to go beyond that, set up an appointment or anything like that, because she does travel. She was going to be working on my house in Nashville before my whole life changed. So I know she travels. And it was a really smooth process leading up to that. Like we met virtually, everything was great. So like I would definitely, if you like this style, or she will have your style. But if you like what you experience with Renae, I promise distance doesn't matter. So you go to renaekeller.com/contact. You can fill out that form or just email at hello@renaekeller.com. Did I miss anything?
Oh, you didn't. You're very thorough.
Okay, good. Well, I love you to death. I'm so grateful for you to be on the podcast again and share your journey.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I've enjoyed it, and go bombshells.
Whoop, whoop. All right, bombshells, you know what to do. You just heard a whole journey of somebody who had already been in business for a while, then she next leveled, and then she just kept elevating from then. You heard her say, be yourself, be consistent, be authentic, be consistent. And that's kind of what we talk about all the freaking time. It is about taking small, actionable steps consistently over time. And then you can have what Renae has enjoyed, and that is a growing business. Celebrate your wins along the way. Share this episode with somebody who needs to hear it, and I will see you on the next episode.